Sure. I mean, just excited about getting started again. We've made a lot of changes to the roster. A big emphasis as we looked at this coming season is to get better defensively. And so the addition of Josh Richardson, James Johnson, Josh Green is a guy that's a very good defender for a young player. And just, the mentality of becoming a better defensive team. It's great to be the very best at something, as we were last year. We were the best offensive team in the history of the game on a points per possession basis, and that is, that is a substantial accomplishment. But we've got to raise the level of our defense, and we feel with some of the changes that we've made, and also with the way we're going to approach things, we're just going to put a greater emphasis on the defensive end of the floor. So. A couple other things I'll just mention quickly, get these out of the way because I know these questions are coming. KP is doing well. His rehab has gone without issue. He's on schedule. If anything, we're having to hold him back right now. He's back to doing light court work, and so things are going well. He will not, however, play until at least January. So, and when we get to January, we can give you a better update on where things are. But I think he's 12 weeks from surgery. This coming Friday. And again, things have gone well and without issue. All the players are back. We're into our first day of voluntary individual workouts today. That will continue for a couple of days. And if everything goes as hoped, we'll start team practice on Friday. And with that, Renee, we'll do questions.
Hi, Rick. Good to see you. I hope you're hanging in there. When there's obviously going to be differences with this upcoming season compared to the bubble. So when you kind of look at the pros and cons of each setup, do you anticipate this upcoming season to be easier or difficult compared to navigating the bubble? What would be your reason?
Well, you're asking a logistical question, and the bubble is a controlled environment. All the variables were, essentially under one roof. And so that was an easier situation to monitor. The 2021 season is going to have a lot more moving parts. It will have many more challenges just inherently because of, when you throw travel into it, you throw really a non-totally controlled environment. It's going to be different. But that said, the NBA is covering, every base that they can find. In the next couple of weeks, we'll begin rapid testing, which will add another layer of protection to this to the entire situation. There are a lot of unknowns, of course, but after our experience, in Orlando in the bubble situation, I mean, the NBA is proven to me and to us that they know what they're doing, and our job is to follow the protocols, and if we do that, we'll have a chance to be successful.
And to follow up a different topic, obviously, with Luka, you had mentioned after the playoffs ended that even with how much he's accomplished his first two seasons, that you could see him being even better this year. What do you envision that will entail?
Look, he's 21. He's getting better all the time, and his game continues to be more and more refined each year in all areas. And so, you know, he's a special player. He's a special person. You know, he's a special leader on our team. And look, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I do think you're going to see continued development and continued growth.
Okay, Brad Townsend, I am allowing you to talk. Go ahead and unmute Brad.
Can't hear you, Brad.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. If my count is correct, you've got 9 players on the roster who started at least 16 games for some team or another last year. Do you envision your lineups being similar to last year with fluidity and flexibility, or are you hoping to kind of hone in on a optimal starting unit?
Well, I'm going to give you the easy answer to say, and that is that, you know, we're going to ask these guys to be ready for anything. And we're going to have a level of fluidity for a couple of reasons. Number one is matchups. You know, there's some teams that just you're going to get in some extreme matchup situations. You know, for instance, last year, you know, we really were vigilant about trying to play Maxey off the bench. But when we played New Orleans, you know, I think it was in early March, you know, a few games before the hiatus hit, we had to start him against Williamson. I mean, there's just, you know, he was the best guy that we had to guard him on that particular night. So there's going to be some fluidity. I'm a former player. You know, I started a total of 1 game in my illustrious NBA career. And so, like, I don't have the direct experience of being a guy that was, you know, used to starting or anything like that. But I do know that if you can settle on a lineup that's consistent and keep roles consistent, it's always a better situation. I'm just not sure, you know, with KP out to start the year and with other things that'll be going on that it's completely realistic. And you throw in the variables of COVID and things like that, and, you know, we're all going to have to be ready for anything.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is going to be Skylar.
Hello, Rick. How are you?
Good.
I would never suggest that last year's roster lacked toughness. I'm sure you would say the opposite, but was it part of the mindset in this offseason to build a little, shall we call, protection for those situations where people like to knock around Luka a little bit?
Yeah. That was easy. Look, we got a few things going on here, you know. Dwight Powell's one of our tougher guys last year. We missed him from the end of January on. He's back now. That gives us toughness. James Johnson has multiple ratings in the martial arts, and he's been a tough player in this league as long as he's been in the league. He gives us toughness. Josh Richardson is an edgy guy who's a terrific defender. He gives us toughness in his way. And as a young developing team that's gone through one stage of development, of getting out of the lottery and into the playoffs, but experiencing a loss in the playoffs, you know, we've got to look at this as a situation where our collective toughness will increase anyway, regardless of who's on the team. So, but you can never have enough toughness, you know, on an NBA team, particularly in the Western Conference, you know, with the way things are shaping up. A lot of teams are getting back to full strength. You know, you look at Golden State, they're going to be obviously way better than last year. Portland's getting, got Nurkic back, and they've made some aggressive moves. I mean, you go right on down the line. I mean, nobody's, really going the other way.
Okay, Dwayne?
Yes, Rick. Do you anticipate having to manage minutes or watch players' minutes even more so because of the shorter offseason?
Good question. It's best if we can try to consistently play 10 guys and keep our starters' minutes somewhere in the low 30s. It's not always doable. We don't know what the schedule is going to look like yet either. I'm certain that there will be back-to-backs, although it sounds like there may not be as much travel in between games when you're on the road. But again, I haven't seen the schedule. But I think anytime you're talking about superstar players like Luka Doncic and LeBron and guys like that, and Kawhi Leonard, I mean, you want to create an optimal situation for those guys to play at the highest level and not get burned out, and so that'll be the goal. And a lot of that comes down to communication, and talking to Luka about it, talking to KP about it when he's back, because these guys are competitors, and they want to. They want to be in there the whole game, and so. But it's a lot of communication, and it's a lot of analyzing the situation, and at times we strategically rested our guys within the framework of the rules.
Callie, you're up.
Rick, how are you?
Hey, Kelly.
How do you envision Josh Richardson fitting in? We haven't gotten to talk to you since he joined the team.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen of him, in the gym, looking at film, those kinds of things. Always been a big admirer of his game. He's a high-level defensive player, which is something that we really need. We've been looking for a guy that can guard point guards, and be able to score off the ball or be able to take the ball and let Luka work off the ball. And I think he gives us that kind of flexibility. So, he's a guy from afar that I've always felt would be a really good fit with Luka Doncic.
Okay, Mark Followill.
Hey Rick, good to see you and speak with you again.
Likewise. I don't see you though. I don't have. Renee's got the thing with all the people, so
Yeah.
I'll have to assume
Close enough.
your normal quality of life state of happiness and all that.
I am, and I couldn't wait to get to Basketball Reference to find your one start of April 8th, 1986. So
8 points,
I'll share all
baby.
the stats.
8 points.
Career high 5 assists too.
Yeah, and Larry Bird came off the bench that night. If you can believe that.
Nice. That's a good
That was Casey Jones's version of resting the starters, was to start us and play us for however many minutes and then play those guys the rest of the game.
Well, along the lines of having to play players that you wouldn't typically play as much, I know how effusive you were on draft night about Josh Green and Terry being selected. Obviously, they don't have a summer league and the normal months of time that they would get to work with the player development coaches in the summer. So what's your hopes and expectations for being able to prepare those rookie draft picks to be able to play meaningful minutes whenever the season starts?
Well, we're clocking everything with an egg timer now for these draft picks. I mean, this is going to be the quickest turnaround ever. Look, they're going to get thrown right into the fire. I mean, look, you go play in the summer league in Vegas, that's a great experience. But now you're going right into training camp with NBA veterans, and there are some other rookies, but these guys are going to find out right away what it means to be thrown into the deep end of the pool. And so we'll see. I like their chances to hold their own. From what I've seen, Terry looks like a guy that can score the ball. He can play point. He can play a little bit of two. Josh Green is strong, tough. He has dynamic strength. He shoots the ball. He can defend. He's got toughness. Tyler Bay is a guy that's been a defensive analytics darling for the last couple of years at Colorado. Nate Hinton was another guy that's a very tough-minded guy. So we're bringing we've brought a lot of toughness onto the team, and I just think it just helps create a very competitive camp environment, and that's always a good thing.
Okay, Coop.
Hey Rick, I'm wondering if the moves that were made in large measure or as a result of what you saw with the Lakers and the success that they had playing, not obviously with just LeBron and Davis, but just with Caruso and KCP and just the physical wings out there. And I know you've talked for a long time about wanting to be more physical defensively, but why now? What's the moment that finally said, as an organization, we got to do this. We got to get to this point.
Well, it's I mentioned it before. I mean, when you establish that you're a galactically successful offensive team, but below average defensively, that's not going to win you a championship. I don't believe there's ever been a team that's won a title in the NBA that hasn't been a good defensive team. One of the things that struck me, during the hiatus was, I think Fox Southwest or Fox Sports Dallas, showed some games from the 2011 run. People forget how good that team was defensively, with Tyson Chandler and Marion and Kidd and, Deshaun Stevenson and it was eye-opening to look at those games and see. And you watch the Lakers as they went through their playoff run. They lose game 1 to Portland, and then they just put that clamps down defensively the next 4 games. Now, Lillard went out after a game or two after that or whatever it was, but defensively they were dominant. Same thing happened in their next series against Houston. Houston won game 1, and they tightened the screws, and they won those series with defense. And ultimately, they won the title with defense, and a lot of their offense came off their defense. They're a great transition team, and with LeBron and Davis, they were a great execution team. So, look, you've got to have to be a great defensive team or to aspire and realistically have a chance to be a better defensive team. Got to get better defensive players, and I think we've added some really good elements there through the draft, through trades, and so we're looking forward to getting this thing going.
Okay, Dorothy.
Hi, Rick. Hope you're well.
Hi.
How would you describe what you want to see from this team, a total team standpoint this season? Like, what type of identity or vibe are you trying to build with this team?
We've got to be very competitive. We've got to be tough-minded, unselfish. I don't know, what the exact pace of our game is going to be, but we've got to be able to win games by getting stops. as well as by scoring. And so, that's the basic gist. I mean, the identity of this team is largely gonna be a reflection of Luka, because the best player always is a big part of the identity of the team. But Luka in the playoffs last year showed that he could sit down and defend people too. And so we've had him guard all different kinds of positions. I mean, he's guarded point guards, he's guarded four men, at times he's guarded centers, he's guarded twos and threes. I mean he can do that. And so, I want us to be an edgier team defensively. And I think we've added pieces that will help us do that.
Okay, Jessica Armstrong.
Hey, Coach. Was wondering, you guys felt the void with Dwight and Jalen in the bubble. What are you looking forward to this season, having them back with these new acquisitions?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're two of our tougher guys, just in general. They're two of our really important chemistry guys. They're both, ball movers and energy givers, and so, not having those guys, on the floor was tough. Brunson wasn't down in the bubble. It was tough not having him down there. Dwight was down in Orlando, and it was great for us to have him around. It was also great for him because he was able to accomplish some really key parts of his rehab during that 2-month period. I mean, I thought, and I think he would tell you that's where he really gained confidence, in the Achilles and coming off the surgery and all those kinds of things. And he actually, toward the end of it, he actually was in some of our scout team stuff, as the opposing scout team. So getting those two guys back, adding Richardson, adding Johnson, adding guys like Green and Hinton and Bay, these are things that are going to make our camp more competitive. And, it just creates an environment where defense is got to be, the major topic. And so, we're looking forward to it. I mean, 3 days from now, we'll be in camp. So it's coming fast.
Okay, we're gonna do one more for Isaac Harris.
Hey Rick, how you doing?
Well,
So bringing back JJ Barea, what does he mean just to this team on the court, off the court, just for some of the young guys in the locker room?
well, when you look at what he's accomplished in his career as an undrafted player, I mean, it's really a remarkable career. I mean, just flat out. I mean, this is, he's going into his 15th training camp. What he's done has been absolutely incredible. And so, his presence on our team is very important for a lot of reasons. His presence in training camp will be important. He provides experience, leadership. He has a great deal of respect from these players. He's our last vestige on the player side to the 2011 championship team, where he ended up being a starter in the last 3 games that we won. And so, he's just one of those really special people and really special players.